When you think of Yale, you don't think of basketball. You really think about scholars and education and doctors and lawyers. Tell me a little bit about the basketball team and really what you have been doing growing the sport over there for Yale basketball.
Well, we're trying to change that perception, right? As a basketball coach, certainly we don't want people to think otherwise, other things other than Yale being a great academic institution. But, our basketball programs are really good over the last 10 years. We've won 4 of the last 6 championships. We've gone to the NCAA or qualified for 3 of the last 5 years. So it's been going in the right direction, been able to recruit high-level athletes, and our program is such that kids come in, they understand what their roles are, and they're able to play to those roles and their strengths, and for us to be successful. So we've had a nice run here, and we're hoping to continue it.
Expanding on that kind of thing, they're thought of as like the academic school. Now, do you see that on the court with the players being very smart academically in comparison to other spots you coach? And if it does correlate, how do you see it in these practices and these games?
I don't think it's much different because it comes down to basketball IQ. I think that there are kids with high basketball IQs no matter where you coach. Because you can be book smart, but that doesn't mean that you're court smart. And being court smart comes from playing a lot and having great instincts. And we certainly think that we've recruited young men that have those instincts at Yale. But I've been other places where they've been good at that as well. So I don't know that book smart correlates as much as you would think on a basketball court.
What is it like going inside somebody's house and talking to somebody's parents and telling them that Yale basketball is the place that your kid needs to play for?
It's great to do what I do because I have great belief in what I'm selling. I actually wonder what other coaches tell recruits when they go into the homes. I know that, the kids that graduate from Yale, their next 40 years are going to be a lot better than those that don't. What our graduates have been able to do out in the world have been nothing short of tremendous. So when I go into a home, I sit down and talk to a family, moms and dads and young men that come play for Yale. I'm confident in what I'm talking to them about because I know that they're going to be much better off if they come to Yale and choose our university.
With the actual recruiting end of it, you think it's more limited being it's such a conference with a lot of tough schools to get into, academically gifted schools? Does that make the recruiting end tougher, maybe either geographically or these guys still want to stay in school and do something after that rather than just commit to NBA like a one-and-done type player? Does that make it a lot harder to recruit? And if so, how?
It makes it easier, actually, because when we go out to recruit, we know who exactly we can look at. My staff does a great job at breaking down transcripts and figuring out who's qualified and who's not qualified to come to Yale. There are a bunch of players. I remember being down in Disney one year, and Eddie Curry was playing, and everybody wanted to go see Eddie Curry play. And I'm like, well, there's no need for me to go see Eddie Curry because he can't get into Yale University. That's not a slight on Eddie Curry. It's just a fact of what it takes academically to get in. So we kind of hone in on those young men that fit who we are academically and go after those kids. So that makes my job a lot easier.
Was it hard for you to step away from the season, especially with this COVID-19? Were you upset that you couldn't move forward with this?
Well, we qualified for the NCAA tournament again, back-to-back years here. And the saddest part about it was my brother Joe actually did it for the first time his first time at Boston University. And the fact that my dad didn't have an opportunity to peacock with his 2 sons NCAA tournament really was something that bothered me. We were going to fly him around from city to city and let him see his kids see his kids coach. And that was something that our family missed out on. I don't go to sleep without watching one shining moment in the basketball season. And it's one of those things that, I think about it where it's the last game of the year and I don't get college basketball for another 5 or 6 months or whatever it is. So, yes, it was certainly tough nut to swallow. But, there were bigger things going on in basketball and still all around the country. So we understand it.
This decade, we've really seen Ivy League teams, your team obviously in Yale, who won in 2016. We saw Cornell in the Sweet 16 in 2010. Harvard has won some big games, 14-3 upsets, 12-5 upsets. What does that really show about the Ivy League really being pesky? And do you think your league as a whole is undervalued?
It certainly is. And, mid-majors are undervalued a great deal just because the scheme of selecting teams to play an NCAA tournament is skewed against us. It's all based on quality wins and who you play. And we never get those quality quad one games at home, all those quad one games we play on the road. So if you're going to go and you're going to beat, a quad one team on the road, it's going to take a Herculean effort to get that done. And trust me, the officials aren't going to help you with it. So it's one of those things that you got to win by 10 to win by 2 on the road, which is very difficult. So, there are stacked against us, and along with a lot of other mid-major teams, but we have to prove ourselves within our league. And thankfully for Yale, we've been able to do that for the last few years.
Do you think the NBA bringing the G League hurts the fact of your recruitment? And do you think that it might, in the future, affect some of the players that you recruit coming to play for your school?
No, it doesn't affect our recruiting at all. It doesn't affect college basketball to a great extent. It affects the level that college basketball was played. But college basketball is always going to be great because of the rivalries. No matter who's in a Yale uniform or who's in a Harvard uniform, that game's going to be sold out every single year. No matter who's in a Duke uniform or who's in a North Carolina uniform, those games are going to be sold out every year, and everybody's going to be sleeping out in Chesapeakeville to go watch the games. It's much greater, it's a lot more fun when you have Zion Williams playing. But if guys like Zion Williams decide to go to the G League or go overseas and play, certainly that takes away from the level of the game, but it doesn't take away from the excitement on college campuses and the galvanizing effect that college basketball has.
Do you think the discrepancy, if that were to happen, would be different in terms of the powerful teams getting better? Or do you think maybe that kind of thing could even out the playing field with different conferences?
It's even out the playing fields. I mean, it's made it a little bit easier for us to go into North Carolina and lose a game by 3 points. And the other thing, like the one and done thing, is also affected it. When Michael Jordan played, there were juniors and seniors on those teams, and now you have freshmen and sophomore that you have to play against. So when my juniors and seniors go up against freshmen and sophomores, we're going to have a much greater opportunity to win because you just are older, bigger, stronger. Maybe it's not the playing field for you.
Now, Coach, I know a lot of people have been talking about The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, the 98 Bulls, and I'm sure you watched it. What were your thoughts of the 98 Bulls team?
What bothered me the most was that there was so much disunity on that team off the court. Dennis Rodman, the distractions that he caused, Michael Jordan, and the way he pursued his team to help propel them to win championships. That's counterproductive the way I coach. I'm more unifying than not, more for embracing than not. So that bothered me somewhat watching that. And certainly the Michael Jordan's approach worked. They won 6 championships. They never lost one. But that's not to say it wouldn't have worked if he had a different approach to it as well. That was just his approach and it worked for him. It just doesn't happen to work for me. That's not who I am. As a coach, you have to coach your way. So it was disheartening to watch that. Obviously, it was a lot of fun to watch it as it actually happened and unfolded in the 1990s. But to come back and watch it now, it's just a little difficult to know that it wasn't a tight-knit unit where everybody was on the same team, moving in the same direction the entire time. So it broke it down to being a professional sport as opposed to just a sport. And that was hard for me to watch.
Could you see that kind of team, obviously not being your team, you mentioned you weren't going to coach like that, but could you see any type of team structured like that win in college basketball?
It would be hard to do it. I would suspect there's some teams that are structured like that we don't know about. For me, I want to bring everybody together. That's the fun of playing basketball, having everybody on the same page and everybody trying to have a unifying goal. And it's not about how much money I make or how much money you make or how much money we make. It's all about us playing together and winning a championship together. And that's all that matters. And me sacrificing part of me for us to become great. And that's the way we've kind of built what we do at Yale, with everybody, taking a role, and some people sacrifice because that's the only way you win championships, unless somebody sacrifices, in my mind.
This upcoming season, you have a recruitment class. Is there any particular player that you're excited to coach this year?
I'm excited to coach everybody. I think we have a class of 5 guys coming in. I think they're all going to be pretty good in their own way. We graduated 3 really good players in Jordan Booner, Eric Monroe, and Austin Williams. So there's some minutes there for guys. But I like to think that we have a lot of guys in the program that are going to be able to step in that didn't play this year. So our freshmen are going to have their handful. They're going to have to come in and learn and work real hard and try to be part of the team.
One of those guys that did step up was Paul Atkinson. He was averaged 9 points a game in 2019, and now this year was their leading scorer at 17 points a game. What have you seen most in terms of the improvement of his game from last year?
Well, the improvement of Paul and all our players is something that we pride ourselves on. Guys getting better each and every year. Paul took a great step. His dad, his name is Paul Atkinson as well, was his assistant high school coach, and He's put Paul through the ringer, and it's hard for him to have a summer of leisure. He's going to make sure that Paul's working out, trying to make himself better. And in doing so, it's made our team better. He's got great footwork, tremendous in the post, and we were able to isolate him and help him. And teammates realized that over his career, he's shooting 65%, so we make sure we get him the ball.
This three-point shot has really been implemented in the game. I believe it's ruined the game, and it's changed it in so many ways. Do you see the NCAA implementing some of this style of game to recruiting some of these three-point shooters?
I'm not certain what else the NCAA can do, and I'm not sure that I agree with you 100% that it's ruined the game. I think that it's brought in a number of different fans. It's just different now. So I can understand how you could think it's worse than what it was when we watched the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics back in our day. But it's just a different version of it. I myself am not a huge NBA fan. I'm a huge college basketball fan because of the unity that's on campus and how galvanizing effect. So that's why I'm a fan of college basketball. But I'm not certain what else that the NCAA can do to change the rules to make it more like the NBA.
Talk about the big win that Yale had in the NCAA tournament 2016 against Baylor. Coaching-wise, what adjustments did you make to them? Did you game plan specifically different from them? Talk about that, and also, again, your experience, just the adrenaline and how you were feeling throughout that game when they were dominating the way they did against Baylor.
The thing about it is we didn't change anything. We were who we were. We led the nation in rebounding in 2016. We had a really good basketball team, and just because it was Yale across the chest, you didn't think about us that way. So we had a really good team, and we just played our game and were able to go out and be successful. Our point guard had a tremendous game, Makai Mason. He had 31 points against Baylor in the game. So that was obviously a big point of it, and he just kind of took over and got in on a national spotlight. But we were a very good team all year, and we were just able to go out and play well. And the next night we played Duke, and we got down by 23 points in the second half, and we cut it to 3 with just over a minute to go, and we had a chance to win that game. So our team was really good, and it wouldn't have surprised me if we would have beaten Duke and went on to the Sweet 16 and made some more noise.
I've been following Coach K since really the 90s. When you have the opportunity to coach against a magnificent, respectable coach in college basketball and really throughout the basketball rankings, do you have jitters when you play him, or you structure your game and your game plan against the team that you're playing against?
I've been coaching a long time now, so I don't get jitters against anybody that we play. But I will tell you, we played down in Cameron, I think a year or two ago, and I told Coach K before the game, it's just unbelievable what they created down there. If you're a college basketball fan, it's a destination, and people come from all over the country just to watch a game in that building, just to feel the energy and what it's like. They kind of set up a little mall system where Cameron is, and across from Cameron is a huge bookstore, a huge store where they sell Duke gear, and they have it all lit up during nights of games, and the energy in the building is something tremendous. So what he's created down there is something amazing. But as a coach, I don't get excited about playing anybody. I game plan for who we play, and we're trying to win.
This new instant impact transfer portal, you don't have to sit out a year in basketball anymore. We're seeing it ever since the tournament got canceled. These players just moving on and they get to play right away. Are you in favor of that kind of system, or are you in favor of the original way it was where you did have to sit out a year and the transfer policy wasn't as easy as it is going to be now?
Well, that rule hasn't gone through, has it?
I've seen a lot of them already transfer. A lot of big names have already transferred. And I think from what I've seen from College Basketball Insider, some of them do have instant eligibility.
They have to get waivers for that, but there is a rule that they're trying to put through now where everyone has automatic eligibility, and you could have a one-time transfer rule and not sit out. So the answer to the question to that is no, I'm not in favor of that. I think it's something that we give young men and young women the wrong message. If you make a commitment, you should try to stick to it and deal with it as best you can. Obviously, there's some certain situations where it just doesn't fit, but to go and sit out and learn in a new program, I think that's the right thing to have to do. I don't believe that we should just be jumping ship. The transfer portal is full of kids right now. I have no idea what it would look like if, in fact, everybody can transfer without any kind of penalty. You have to re-recruit your kids, and we do that to some extent anyway. We recruit your kids every year. It would just be a very difficult thing, and it would crush the mid-major programs, absolutely crush. I'm not worried so much about Yale because the kids that come to Yale are are committed. I've been at Yale for 21 years, and I haven't had one kid transfer in 21 years. So I'm not so much worried about my program, but I am worried about mid-major programs. A place like Sacred Heart, where Anthony and Tina coaches, he's had his best player leave most every single year. So that he does a great job recruiting, finding guys that are under-recruited that nobody wanted, helping them succeed, helping them become better. They put up great numbers and then they leave. I just don't think that's the way college basketball should be done. I don't think that's the right lesson to teach.